In 1900, sponge divers off a small Greek island pulled something from the bottom of the Mediterranean that should not have existed. A corroded lump of bronze, roughly the size of a shoebox, packed with interlocking gears and dials of extraordinary precision. It was 2,000 years old, and it could calculate the movements of the sun and moon, predict solar and lunar eclipses, and track the cycles of the ancient Olympic Games simultaneously. Nothing remotely like it would appear again in human history for over 1,000 years. This is the Antikythera Mechanism, the most mysterious, most sophisticated, and most humbling artifact the ancient world ever left behind. The story begins not in a laboratory or a library, but underwater. In the autumn of 1900, a group of Greek sponge divers sought shelter from a storm near the small island of Antikythera between Crete and mainland Greece. When the storm cleared, they dived in the surrounding waters and discovered the wreck of a large Roman-era cargo ship sitting on the seabed at a depth of around 45 meters. The ship was carrying an extraordinary cargo: marble and bronze statues, glassware, jewelry, pottery, the kind of luxury goods that wealthy Roman patrons imported from the Greek world. Greek authorities organized a salvage operation that recovered hundreds of artifacts over the following months. Among the corroded debris, almost unnoticed at first, was a roughly rectangular lump of bronze that broke apart into several fragments after being brought to the surface and dried out. It sat in the Athens National Archaeological Museum for years, largely ignored by researchers focused on the far more visually impressive statues recovered from the same wreck. It was not until 1902 that an archaeologist named Valerio Stais looked closely enough at one fragment to notice something extraordinary inside the corrosion: the unmistakable outline of a gear wheel. A precisely cut, perfectly formed gear wheel inside a 2,000-year-old artifact. The implications took decades to fully absorb. Early researchers assumed it must be some kind of navigational instrument, an astrolabe or similar device, because the alternative seemed too extraordinary to take seriously. The idea that ancient Greek craftsmen had built a working mechanical computer capable of astronomical calculation struck most scholars as simply implausible. It contradicted everything the academic world had assumed about the technological ceiling of ancient civilizations. So the mechanism sat in its museum case, studied occasionally, understood incompletely, its full complexity unrecognized for the better part of 50 years. The breakthrough came gradually through the second half of the 20th century as researchers applied increasingly sophisticated analysis to the surviving fragments. The mechanism had originally consisted of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears. Some researchers believe the original complete device contained as many as 37, housed in a wooden case roughly 34 centimeters tall, 18 centimeters wide, and 9 centimeters deep. The front of the case bore dials showing the position of the sun and moon in the zodiac and the Greek calendar. The back bore two large spiral dials, one tracking a 223-month cycle used to predict eclipses, the other tracking a 76-year astronomical calendar cycle and the 4-year cycle of the Panhellenic Games, including the Olympics. What makes the engineering staggering is not simply that these calculations were mechanized, it is how they were mechanized. The moon does not orbit the Earth at a constant speed. It moves faster when closer to Earth and slower when further away, a variation described mathematically by what we now call Kepler's laws of planetary motion, formulated in the early 17th century. The makers of the Antikythera mechanism did not have Kepler. They had observation, accumulated astronomical records, and extraordinary mechanical ingenuity. They modeled the moon's variable speed using a pin and slot mechanism, a small pin offset from the center of one gear, engaging a slot in another, producing a variable output speed that matched the observed irregularity of lunar motion with remarkable accuracy. It is a mechanical solution to a mathematical problem that would not be formally described in modern terms for another 1,600 years. The precision of the surviving gearwork has been measured using modern imaging technology, including X-ray tomography and advanced surface imaging, conducted by research teams in the early 21st century. The teeth of the gears are cut to tolerances that imply tools and techniques of considerable sophistication, though researchers note that the craftsmanship, while impressive, shows some irregularities, suggesting handcraft rather than machine production. The division of circles required to produce these gear ratios implies either advanced mathematical knowledge or accumulated trial and error refinement of a tradition of instrument making that the Antikythera Mechanism represents at its peak. Who built it remains genuinely unknown. Ancient written sources, including the works of Cicero, who described seeing a mechanical model of the heavens made by the Greek scientist Archimedes, suggest that the Antikythera Mechanism was not a unique creation, but perhaps the finest surviving example of a broader tradition of Greek mechanical astronomy that has otherwise been entirely lost. The island of Rhodes has been proposed by several researchers as the most likely place of manufacture, based on astronomical references inscribed on the device and the known tradition of advanced scientific instrument making in Rhodes during the relevant period. But no ancient source directly describes the mechanism, and its maker's name is unknown. The shipwreck that carried it has been dated to somewhere between 60 and 70 BC, based on pottery and other artifacts recovered from the site. The mechanism itself, based on its astronomical content and construction style, was likely built sometime in the 2nd or early 1st century BC. It was already an object of some age when the ship carrying it sank, possibly being transported as a treasured scientific instrument or valuable curiosity rather than newly manufactured goods. What happened to the tradition that produced it is perhaps the deepest mystery the mechanism raises. No comparable geared mechanism appears in the archaeological or historical record for over a millennium after the Antikythera wreck. The next devices of equivalent mechanical complexity to appear in the historical record are medieval Islamic astronomical instruments and European mechanical clocks of the 13th and 14th centuries, separated from the Antikythera Mechanism by over 1,000 years. Whether the tradition of Greek mechanical astronomy died with the political and cultural disruptions of the late ancient world, or whether comparable devices once existed and simply haven't survived, is a question the evidence cannot currently answer. What the mechanism does answer, definitively, physically, beyond any reasonable dispute, is the question of what the ancient Greek mind was capable of when it turned its full attention to a problem. The people who built this device understood the cosmos with a precision and a systematic rigor that the modern world only recently gave them credit for. They looked at the sky, measured what they saw with extraordinary care, and then built a machine that could hold the motion of the heavens in bronze and calculate it forward through time. They did it with hand tools, accumulated observation, and a quality of focused intelligence that 2,000 years of seawater could not corrode. If this gave you a new way of seeing what the ancient world truly understood, subscribe, because every week we pull something extraordinary from the depths of history and show you exactly what was inside it.